Hi there, everyone. I'm going to give you some help on the sample space questions which I've set today. This is question one, and I'm just going to go through each of the questions. So if you find question one easy, then just flick on to question two or question three in the video for help for when you need it. Okay, question one. Well, let's first of all just talk about this thing over here. This thing is a sample space diagram, and we use it in probability. We only use it in cases where we have fair dice or coins or whatever, spinners or something or other, whatever we're rolling or spinning or flicking. Okay, so we only use it when they are a fair dice, for example. So, for example, getting a 1 or a 2 or a 3 would be the same on dice 1, the same probability. So a 1 in 6 probability. Now, all of your, say for example, you get a 3 followed by a 4, okay, on the second dice, then that would give you a 7 in total. So it's important in this case that we have a look at the operation that's here, and the operation here is plus. You could also get a 3 on the second dice and a 4 on the first dice, so that's a 3 and a 4 in the other way around, and that also gives us a 7. Now, each one of these positions, all of the red numbers here, has a 1 in 36, because there's 36 red numbers here, 6 times 6. 1 in 36 probability of happening. Okay, so let's go back a little bit there. Let's just take that away. So this one, we've talked about this situation a bit. We've got 2 dice which are being rolled. Obviously, you can't do this with 3 dice. This is only 2 things which are happening. Okay, a way of representing 2 things. Right, first of all, it says what score is most likely. So we're interested in the red numbers here to answer what score is most likely. And so we've just got to see which of those numbers occurs the most. Right, second part, it says which scores are the least likely. So there are 2 scores in this grid here, which are least likely. And you have to decide which numbers those are. So they're the ones which turn up the least, or the least common. You don't, for these questions here, you don't have to write down the probabilities, only the answer to the number. Okay, part C says write down the probability of scoring, in this case, a 3. Okay, so we have a look at 3. You can see it occurs here, and it occurs here. We're not interested in this one here, because that's not the result of adding together 2 scores. Okay, so we've got the 2 3s there. That's either a 2 and a 1, so 2 and then a 1, or a 1 and a 2 for the second 3. Okay, right. So write down the probability of scoring a 3. Well, we can see that we've got 2 squares out of 36 there, which represent a 3. So that's the answer to C part I. Now you can simplify this by typing it in onto your calculator and writing 1 over 18, and lots of the answers will come like that. But in an exam situation, it's okay not to simplify when you've got a probability question. So you can leave it as 2 over 36. That's fine. Okay, right, let's take some of that back. Okay, now, of course, 5, 6, and 7 are similar. You're just going to add together how many you see. For 7, you see 6 of them, and you can write 6 over 36. Okay, question part D here. It says write down the probability of scoring a number over 10. So scoring a number over 10, well, we just need to find out how many numbers here are over 10 and write that out of 36. So there's 1, 2, 3 which are over 10. So we write 3 over 36. Under 7, again, it's a matter of counting how many numbers there are under 7. 4 or less would include all the 4s and all these ones here. Okay, so you just need to count how many squares are coloured in out of the 36. And 6 or more, again, you have to find out 6 or more, how many are 6 and above. Now, it might be easier to do this one. Instead of counting all of those, it might be easier to count the ones uncoloured and take that off 36. But it's up to you. Okay, right. Write down, for part E, it says write down the probability of scoring an odd number. Well, we know odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, anything which ends in those digits. So you just again need to count those up. A square number, okay, so we've done an odd number. A square number, so square numbers are 1 times 1, so we're looking for 1. 2 times 2, so we'd be looking for 4 in there. 3 times 3, so we'd be looking for 9 in there. And 4 times 4, you won't find in there because you can't get a 16. So we're asking, how many of these numbers do you see inside here? 1, 4, or 9? Right, and finally, a prime number, and again, a similar technique for this one. Prime numbers start at 2 because they have to have 2 factors. 2 has the factor 1 and 2. 3, 4 is in the 2 times table as well, so it's not prime. 5 only has 2 factors. Take that back. 5 only has 2 factors, 1 in itself. It's not in any other times table. 7 is prime. 9 is not prime because it's in the 3 times table. So we take the next odd number because all other even numbers are now in the 2 times table. So 11, that works. 13 works. But we can see that 13 is now not in our grid, so we only need to worry about these and how many of those numbers are inside here. Okay, guys, well, that's good. I'm going to keep going with these questions now. So question number 2, right, question number 2, this one here. So let's just take a copy of this. Question number 2. Okay, so in this case, you need to be careful because it says 2 fair 6-sided dice are rolled, but in this case, you have to be really careful. It says the numbers on the 2 dice are multiplied together to give the score. Okay, so for example, when you complete this, we put 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, 1 times 4, and so on. And then you'll do 2 times 1, so we're just timesing those 2 numbers there. 2 times 2, 2 times 3, and so on. And then 3 times 1, so it's just the numbers in the 3 times table, 3, 6, 9, and so on. And the numbers in the 4 times table, 4, 12. And then you can complete this grid. You should get to 36 at the end. Right, complete the table, so we've done that bit. Okay, write down the probability of getting a 10. Okay, write down the probability of getting a 10. Now, we need to find out how many 10s are in this grid here. And I think you can only get it in 2 ways, 5 times 2 and 2 times 5, but you can check that one. And a 9, we just need to count how many 9s we've got. A 12, how many 12s we've got, and how many 8s we've got. You need to write those all out of 36 as well, of course, because there are still 36 little squares in this grid. Okay, for the next part, it says write down the probability of scoring an even number. Again, count up your even numbers here. And an odd number, count up your odd numbers, and again, write it out of 36. And a number which is less than 20. Well, I can see we definitely have numbers which are greater than 20. You need to work out how many you have less than 20 there and write it out of 36. Okay, right, let's go on to the next one. Question 3. Question 3. Question 3, we've got 2 bags here, so it's a bit different. So it says, let's change color. There's 2 bags, 1 and 2, so bags 1 and 2. Each contain 3 counters. In bag 1, the counters are labeled 1, 2, and 5. In bag 2, the counters are labeled 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's just what's going on in here. Counter is drawn at random from bag 1, and a counter is drawn from bag 2. So at random means that each of those counters has an equal chance of being picked. So a 1 in 3 chance of being picked. It says the 2 numbers are multiplied together to give the score. So we're multiplying here, not adding. Okay, so first thing it says complete the table to show all possible scores. So it's very similar to before. 1 times 2, or 2 times 1 if you like, is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 5 is 10, and so on. And you can complete this. You should get 20 at the end. Okay, find the probability of scoring a 6. It's very similar to before. How many 6s do you have out of, in this case, you have 9 squares there. 3 times 3, so it's going to be out of 9. Question 3, part C rather, it says find the probability of scoring a multiple of 4. Think about the multiples of 4. You should have 4, 8, 12, 16. They're just numbers in the 4 times table. So how many of those numbers are in your table out of 9? And finally, find the probability of scoring an odd number. Well, you know what odd numbers are. You can find those things there yourself. Okay, next question. Let's click on to the next one, question 4. Okay, question 4. And here we go. So for this one, it says Rose is playing a game with a fair 6-sided dice. So there's the 6-sided dice. Okay, and a fair coin. So the coin is there. This is the dice and the coin. She rolls the dice and she flips the coin. If the coin lands on heads, her score is 1 less. So these rules are quite complicated, it seems. Her score is 1 less than the number on the dice. If the coin lands on tails, her score is 2 more than the number on the dice. So let's think about that then. So if her coin lands on heads, her score is 1 less. So 1 less is going to be 0, 1, 2. It's just 1 less than these numbers up here. And if the coin lands on tails, her score is 2 more. So 2 more would be 3. We've got 4, 5. So 5 is 2 more than 3, and so on. Okay, so I've just added 2 onto the ones above. Okay, and you can finish those ones off yourself. Okay, complete the table to show possible scores. You can do that. Find the probability of getting a 0. Well, 0 does exist there. I can see there's 1 there. I can see that we have 12 spaces. This is going to be out of 12. Right. Find the probability of scoring a 5. It's a very similar thing to do again. Just how many 5s out of 12. Find the probability of scoring a number less than 4. Very similar to before. How many numbers are less than 4 in the table? And find the probability of scoring a square number. And again, remember the square numbers. We had 1. 1 times 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. That's probably enough. But 5 times 5 is there. Those are our square numbers. Okay, that's question 4. Let's have a look at question 5. Question 5. Okay, let's take this one here. And again, we have 2 fair spinners. So again, it's fair. So that's good. We can use one of these sample spaces. Spinner 1 has 4 equations. Equation sections labeled 1 to 4. So that's this one. And spinner 2 has 3 equal sections labeled 1 to 3. That's this one here. Each spinner is spun once. This time the score is the difference between the numbers. So whatever 2 numbers you get, it's the highest take away the lowest of those 2 numbers. So you can't get negatives with the difference. Okay, complete the table to show all possible scores. So for example, the difference between 3 and 1 is 2, and the difference between 3 and 1 in this way around is still 2. Okay, the difference between 1 and 1 is 0. So you're going to get zeros all the way down the diagonal to start off with, and then you can work out the other ones. Okay, find this probability of scoring a 1. Hopefully it becomes easy now. You're getting a fair bit of practice here. You've got 3 times 4, 12 outcomes there. So your probability is going to be out of 12. And so you just need to count how many ones you've got out of 12. Find the probability of scoring 2 or more. Again, you need to count how many scores of 2 or more you get out inside this yellow square, and it will be out of 12. Okay, well, let's look at one more question, because the next one asks you to do this yourself, so it becomes a bit more challenging. You might need to do this in your book now, rather than on the sheet. So for this one here, it says Adam uses 2 fair spinners in a game. He spins both spinners and adds the 2 numbers together. So we've got this one and we've got this one here. And so you can see the numbers are not labeled in order. So it says draw a table to show all possible scores. So we have on spinner 1, where can I put this? Spinner 1. So let's just call this S1. We've got S2 here. And we add the 2 scores. I'm going to put add up there. Spinner 1, we have the numbers 2, 5, and 8, putting them in order. Spinner 2, we have 3, 4, and 7, putting them in order. Okay, when we add them together, we're going to get 5, we're going to get 8, and so 3 plus 8 gives us 11, and then 2 plus 4 gives us 6, 4 plus 5 is 9, and so on. Okay, Adam thinks that the probability of an even score is a half. Okay, well, you need to work out whether or not that's true, explain why it's incorrect, or they're telling you it's incorrect. So you need to count up how many even numbers there are, and will be written out of 9 because there would be 9 spaces. Okay, and well, anything out of 9 can't be simplified to a half anyway, but give a full explanation to that one. Guys, thank you for listening in.